He forged my death certificate, married his mistress, and stole my life. But I didn't stay dead, I came back with receipts. People think betrayal feels like a slap. Quick. Obvious. Loud. But in truth, betrayal feels like falling. And in my case, it was falling. I'm Claire Dawson. 33. Former Army combat medic. 3 tours in Afghanistan. I've held dying boys in my arms and stitched wounds in sandstorms. I thought I'd seen the worst of humanity. I was wrong. After the Army, I moved to Boulder, Colorado, and opened a physical therapy clinic for veterans. That's where I met Eric Callahan. He came in with a shoulder injury and a smile full of charm. Tousled brown hair. Eyes that made you forget how broken you were. He brought the staff coffee. Laughed at my dumb jokes. Listened. Really listened. I thought he was healing. Turns out, he was hunting. 16 months later, we were married under a grove of aspens. I wore my grandmother's locket. He wore a navy blue suit and promises. We built a life, at least I thought we did. A townhouse. Dinner parties. Plans for kids. Eric talked about making the world safer. I believed him. I wish I could go back and tell that girl, he doesn't love you. He needs you, because people like him don't build. They steal. It was our 5th anniversary. Eric surprised me with a weekend in Chicago. Private helicopter ride over the lake at night. Champagne. Glittering city lights. I wore my leather jacket. He helped me into the helicopter, all smiles and sweetness. We soared above the skyline, sipping champagne. Then he leaned in close. Do you ever wonder what people would say at your funeral? I blinked. What? He pushed me. 1 second I was sitting there. The next, I was airborne. Cold air knifed into my lungs. No time to scream. Just sky, wind, and the sick realization, he did this. Branches snapped. My body slammed into trees. Then, darkness. When I came to, everything hurt. My arm was twisted beneath me. I couldn't feel my legs. I was on the forest floor, somewhere near the lake. But I was alive. Barely. Time vanished. Pain blurred reality. I hallucinated my mom. A dog barking. Then, light. A lantern through the trees. A woman's face. Weathered, kind. You're lucky, she said. Another 10 feet and you'd be gone. Her name was Linda. 60s. Retired nurse. Lived alone in a cabin nearby. She patched me up with steady hands and leftover army supplies. No hospital, she insisted. Not yet. I mumbled about Eric. About the fall. She just said, rest. You'll need your mind sharp for what comes next. I slept for days. When I finally woke for real, she handed me her iPad. The headline hit like a punch. Decorated veteran Claire Dawson dies in helicopter accident. There was Eric, weeping at a podium. Holding my dog tags. A memorial fund in my name. Footage of my funeral. Folded flags. Salutes. I dropped the tablet. My stomach flipped. He killed me, I whispered. Linda nodded. Yes. He did. I couldn't breathe. My chest ached. Eric had erased me like I was a stain. Cashed in my death. Played the grieving husband on TV while I lay broken in the woods. He'll pay, I muttered. Linda crouched beside me. So tell me, do you want to survive to forgive him, or survive to finish him? That night, by firelight and under wool blankets, I buried Claire Dawson. The woman in the casket. The folded flag. The lie. And I began planning something colder than revenge. Justice. I stayed with Linda for 3 weeks. She taught me to move again, to brace against pain. We shared stories over tea and firewood. She'd been a combat nurse in Vietnam. She knew broken. And she knew how to rebuild. You don't have to come back the same, she told me. You just have to come back smarter. When I could walk again, I called Monica Green, my old army friend. Now a private investigator in Denver. She picked up, heard my voice, and gasped. Claire? Jesus. I went to your funeral. I need help, I said. He tried to kill me. He thinks I'm gone. The next day, we met in an underground garage. She hugged me hard, tears in her eyes. In her car, I told her everything. The trip. The push. The fake grieving. Linda. The lies. She didn't flinch. We're taking him down. We couldn't do it as Claire Dawson. Too risky. So I became Claire Donovan. We used the identity of a soldier I once treated, an army nurse declared MIA. No family. No loose threads. Monica forged the documents. We covered every trace. I moved to Portland. Took a room above a bookstore. Quiet place. No questions. But I didn't rest. I studied. By day, I did rehab to rebuild strength. By night, I devoured books on insurance fraud, white-collar crime, money laundering. I watched financial thrillers and legal shows. Subscribed to forums Monica sent me. Learned the language Eric spoke. Because if I was going to beat him, I had to play his game better than he ever had. People ask me how I survived. Physically? Luck. Trees broke the fall. Mentally? That's harder. Eric didn't just try to kill me, he killed who I was. The woman who trusted. The woman who loved. But maybe that woman needed to die, for me to become something stronger. Sometimes the fall doesn't break you. Sometimes it's the start of the climb. And I was climbing. One step at a time. Toward him. Toward the man who tried to write my ending. Because now? I'm the one holding the pen. Grief is easy to fake. Resurrection? That takes work. The world thought I was dead. Eric thought he'd erased me cleanly, just another tragedy on a slow news weekend. But I wasn't buried. I was watching. The donation fund in my name had raised over $120,000. Eric gave an interview in our living room, right where I used to hang my stethoscope. I watched him wipe fake tears while a framed photo of us sat in the background, me in uniform, him in a tailored shirt, grinning like the world belonged to him. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I memorized every word, every pause, every lie. Linda kept me tethered to the ground. She made soup, clipped newspaper articles, and ran mental drills with me. You'll get one shot, she said. Don't miss. The day my death certificate was issued, Eric received a $2 million payout. Life insurance for a soldier who died serving others. Turns out, he'd been upping the policy quietly for over a year, military bonuses, accidental death clauses, and forged authorizations with my signature. Monica, my old army friend turned PI, confirmed it all. She came to Linda's cabin with a laptop and a look that could cut steel. Your husband's good, she muttered, clicking through files. But not this good. He used an insurance agent he went to college with. Filed paperwork months before our anniversary trip. He'd been planning this long before he booked that helicopter. And there was Lacey. His assistant. 20-something, 210 in winter, and just happened to be on a wellness retreat in Sedona the weekend I died. Monica found her on Instagram, smiling in yoga pants, sipping matcha on a mountaintop. Starting over. Real love wins. I showed Linda the photo. She didn't blink. Just poured bourbon into her tea. I knew then, Claire Dawson was gone. She died the moment she hit the branches. What rose from those woods wasn't a grieving widow. It was a storm with a new name, Claire Donovan. Monica helped me build the identity. We used the name of a nurse I once treated in Kandahar, missing in action, no living relatives. She was a ghost in the system. Perfect. I memorized every detail of Claire Donovan's life. Her high school. Her accent. Her allergies. Because if anyone dug deep, even once, I couldn't afford to stutter. I moved to Portland, gray, anonymous, forgiving. I paid cash for a studio apartment above a used bookstore and vanished into the rain. Every morning, I trained my body. Rebuilt what Eric tried to destroy. Every afternoon, I studied white-collar crime, financial loopholes, investment law. Every night, I rehearsed being someone else. I learned how to file shell corporations, how to read SEC reports like gossip columns. Eric had power through money. So I'd become someone richer, smarter, and scarier. But there were close calls. One morning, a letter arrived addressed to Claire Dawson. No return address. Just my real name. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Nice try. You don't get to rewrite endings. I froze. My chest tightened. My hand shook. Was it a threat? A test? Was Eric onto me? Or had I just slipped somewhere, an online form, a delivery receipt? I burned the letter, but I couldn't sleep for 3 days. Another time, while logging into an encrypted account at a library kiosk, a man 2 tables over kept glancing my way. Gray coat. Aviators. Didn't touch a keyboard. Just watched. When I left, he followed. Not aggressively, just close enough to feel like breath on my neck. I ducked into a pharmacy, stayed 15 minutes, and exited through the back. He was gone. But I changed my entire setup the next day. Moved apartments. New P.O. box. Burner phone. Just in case. I couldn't afford mistakes. One slip, and everything would crumble. Linda sent me letters, old school, wax seal, hand addressed to CD at a random P.O. box we'd set up months before. You are not made of ashes. You are made of flint. Spark hard. Burn clean. I read those letters until the ink faded. They reminded me who I was becoming, not who I'd lost. I started volunteering at a nonprofit for women recovering from domestic abuse. They didn't know my story, but I saw myself in their eyes, haunted, raw, resilient. I spoke little. Listened a lot. Some of them told me things that made my stomach turn. But I never judged. We were survivors. Rebuilding bone by bone. And that gave me purpose. Still, the nightmares stayed. I'd wake gasping, heart pounding, the echo of wind in my ears. In my dreams, Eric's hand was always on my back, pushing. Some days I doubted everything. Was I becoming like him, cold, calculating, fake? Then I'd remember. He chose to kill. I chose to live. After almost 2 years, Claire Donovan was real. She had a resume, a credit score, LinkedIn endorsements, and a reputation as a promising angel investor in fintech startups. Monica helped me land invitations to industry events in Chicago. Returning to that city made my throat tighten. The skyline looked like a blade. The air tasted like memory. I wore a navy blazer, auburn hair and a clean bob, designer heels that didn't hurt. Claire Donovan had a voice like steel and a smile you didn't question. At a roundtable event at the Drake Hotel, I saw him. Eric. Same smug walk. Slightly grayer. The room adjusted around him like gravity. He brushed past me. Didn't even blink. Didn't recognize the woman standing 3 feet away. That moment, it split me in two. The part that wanted to scream. And the part that wanted to wait. I chose the second one. Later that night, I stared at myself in the hotel mirror. Touched the scar on my rib cage. You made it, I whispered. But a voice inside replied. Not yet. Because being alive wasn't enough. I needed to win. But I couldn't shake one thing. What if that man at the library wasn't random? What if the letter hadn't been a fluke? Was Eric smarter than I gave him credit for? What if this game I thought I controlled was being watched from both sides? Still, I couldn't stop now. I was too deep. Too changed. This wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about truth. And I would make the world see him, not as a brilliant investor or grieving husband, but as a coward. A liar. A man who thought he could rewrite my ending. Not this time, Eric. You don't get to win. Not when I'm still holding the pen. Everyone has a tell. Even predators. Eric Callahan's was pride. He couldn't resist showing off, especially to people he thought were beneath him. Which made it almost too easy to slide into his world, heels first, name reborn. As Claire Donovan, I became a whisper in Chicago's finance scene, a sharp, polished investor with Southern composure and Wall Street instincts. I asked the right questions. Smiled at the right people. I didn't chase. I attracted. And I attracted Eric. It started with sightings, fundraisers, rooftop mixers, wealth conferences. I let him see me from a distance. Then let someone else name drop me in his orbit. Heard of Claire Donovan? Fintech angel, started in Portland. Real sharp. She saved that green energy startup last quarter. I think she's consulting for DeMarco Partners. It took exactly 19 days before an invite came through, private roundtable, rooftop bar, skyline views, and testosterone. I walked in like I belonged. Eric was holding court, of course. Navy suit, gold watch, champagne flute in hand. The room shifted around him, subtle as gravity. I saw him glance my way. Quick. Calculating. And then? Nothing. No alarm. No shock. He didn't recognize me. Still, my breath caught. For a full 3 seconds, I forgot how to blink. That moment, the man who tried to kill me standing 10 feet away, laughing over appetizers, nearly broke the dam inside me. But I swallowed it. Smiled. Walked out early. And then spent the rest of the night pacing barefoot on the hotel carpet, whispering to my reflection. He doesn't know. He doesn't. You're okay. I was lying. Because part of me didn't believe it. 2 weeks later, I started consulting for one of Eric's satellite investment teams. It was supposed to be safe, far enough from his inner circle to avoid attention, close enough to gather intel. But nothing ever goes exactly to plan. On my 3rd day in the office, it happened. I was pouring coffee in the break room when a man walked in, tall, buzz-cut, with that squared-off posture I recognized too well. Claire, he said. My heart dropped. He squinted. I'm sorry. You look just like someone I served with. Claire Dawson. Medic in Kandahar. Hell of a shot with a morphine injector. I almost dropped the mug. My hands tightened around it so hard I thought it might crack. I gave a rehearsed smile. Afraid not. I get that sometimes. He chuckled. Small world. She saved my buddy's life back in 2012. I laughed softly. Guess I've got a twin out there. He nodded, took his coffee, and left. I stood there for 5 minutes, staring at the floor. Was it over? Had he bought it? Would he Google me? I texted Monica. Problem. Ex-military guy might have recognized me. Watch for movement. She replied. Got it. Scrubbing socials now. Stay cold. I deleted all apps that night. Moved into a different Airbnb. And burned my burner phone. Too close. Way too close. Still, the infiltration worked. Eric kept to his schedule, Wednesday walks to the church parking lot, always alone, always with a laptop. We tracked him, planted a digital beacon, cloned the session. Monica found it all. Offshore transfers. Cayman Island accounts. Monthly payouts labeled KT Katie Thomas. Lacey's real name. Why is he paying her off? I asked. Monica was quiet for a moment. Then, my guess? She has something big on him. Something dangerous. I needed Lacey. But getting close meant risk. So I created a moment. Accidentally bumped into her at a boutique skincare store downtown. Complimented her scarf. Played clueless. You work at Callahan Strategic? I asked, all wide eyes and admiration. She lit up. Ugh, yes. Glamorous from the outside, toxic on the inside. 3 days later, we were drinking overpriced cocktails at a rooftop lounge, legs crossed, secrets spilling. She talked a lot, about detox teas, her ex, her trainer. Then she leaned in and dropped the bomb. Eric's going to propose. I blinked. That's huge. She shrugged. Yeah, I mean, he has to. We've been close. Even before the accident. She made air quotes. Then looked me dead in the eye and said. And trust me, he owes me. I kept my face neutral. But inside, alarms were wailing. What did she mean by owes? Had she helped plan my murder? Or was she blackmailing him now? Worse, was she baiting me? The next morning, I found an envelope in my bag. No name. Just a single printed sentence. You're not the only ghost in the room. My throat closed. I ran it for prints. Nothing. Monica ran CCTV. Grainy footage of a figure in a black hoodie brushing past my table at the bar. Was it Lacey? Or Eric? Or someone else? I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, fingers twitching, replaying every word Lacey said. Was I being played? Or watched? Still, I kept going. Because I had to. Because I was already inside. At work, I gathered details. Office layout. Security blind spots. Password habits. I memorized how the safe in Eric's office clicked when it locked. I tracked how Lacey filed expense reports, sloppy, lazy, overconfident. One night, Monica and I met in a parking garage. I need access to his cloud, I said. She frowned. You'll have to use his physical device. I know. I can do it. I just need one shot. You're walking into the lion's mouth, she said. No, I whispered. I already live there. We staged it 2 days later. I offered to hand-deliver quarterly analysis to Eric's desk, claimed the file was too sensitive to send. His assistant waved me in. He wasn't there. Just the hum of monitors and that damn almond milk latte, still steaming. The laptop was open. Screen locked. I slid in the USB key Monica gave me. Waited 6 seconds. Pulled it out. Clean. I turned to leave, and the door opened. Eric. His eyes narrowed. Claire, right? My blood went cold. Yes, I smiled. Just dropped off the DeMarco file. He glanced at the desk. Right. Thanks. I walked past him, heels clicking, breath steady. But inside, I was cracking open. He looked at me too long. Too carefully. I made it to the elevator. Only then did my knees buckle. That night, I called Monica. Did we get it? A pause. Then. Yeah. And it's bad. Insurance fraud. Tax evasion. Evidence he forged a death certificate. Claire, you've got enough to bury him. I didn't respond. Because suddenly, I wasn't sure if I felt victorious, or terrified. Because what if he knew? What if this was a game of chicken, and I'd already blinked? I curled up in bed, fully dressed, staring at the USB stick in my palm. I had it. Proof. Everything I needed to take him down. But my gut whispered. This isn't over. Not yet. Eric Callahan killed Claire Dawson. But Claire Donovan? She was about to kill him back. With truth. Truth is heavy. You don't carry it, you drag it. That night, I sat in the dark with the USB drive clenched in my hand like a blade. It held everything: fake insurance documents, offshore accounts, wire transfers, forged death certificates. Proof that Eric hadn't just tried to kill me, he'd built a business model out of betrayal. I should have felt powerful. Instead, I felt hollow. It hit me, this was real. This wasn't training anymore, or gathering intel. This was the moment I'd been preparing for since I crawled out of that forest. And it terrified me. Because after this, there'd be no turning back. No more hiding. No more aliases. No more Claire Donovan. Just Claire Dawson, returning from the dead to destroy the man who buried her. Monica met me at our usual spot, an underground parking lot near Union Station, cold concrete and flickering lights. We didn't hug. Just exchanged looks. I ran the files again, she said. It's airtight. If we leak this to the right agencies, FBI, IRS, even the State Department, Eric's going away for a long time. What about Lacey? I asked. She's listed on too many transfers to walk away clean. But if we flip her fast, she could become a witness. If she cooperates. I nodded slowly. She'll fold. I hope you're right, Monica said. Then she hesitated. Are you ready for this? I didn't answer right away. I don't think I'll ever be ready, I whispered. But I'm going to do it anyway. Because that's what survivors do. We made a plan. Quiet. Precise. Every step accounted for. First, leak the evidence anonymously to a journalist Monica trusted, Chloe Ramirez, investigative reporter at the Tribune. Then, confront Lacey before the news hit. Let her know the walls were closing in. Give her a choice, speak or sink. Finally, show myself to Eric. Face to face. Not with rage. With silence. With proof. With the truth he buried. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reckoning. Chloe met us in the back corner of a late-night diner off Belmont Avenue. She was younger than I expected, mid-30s, dark curls and a messy bun, eyes like steel under tired lids. Monica slid her the flash drive. Every document has metadata. Timestamps. IP logs. Offshore records. Names, aliases, shell companies. Chloe didn't even blink. And your source? Classified, I said softly. She looked at me for a beat. Then nodded. Give me 48 hours. She was back in 24. This is explosive, she said. But also dangerous. Someone's going to want me dead for publishing it. Will you do it anyway? I asked. She smiled. You clearly haven't read my work. Next up, Lacey. I arranged a meeting at a wine bar downtown. Soft lighting. No cameras. Private booths. She arrived late, heels clicking, skin glowing, oblivious to the storm forming overhead. Girl, you look tense, she said, sliding into the booth. Rough week? I slid her a folder. Thick. Heavy. What's this? She asked, flipping it open. And then, silence. Page after page of transactions, fake invoices, signed affidavits, her name on everything. She didn't blink. Just closed the folder and stared at me. Where did you get this? Does it matter? She took a slow breath. Her hand trembled, just slightly. I didn't kill you, she whispered. But you helped him try. She looked away. He said you were unstable. That you'd been through combat. PTSD. That you might snap. I didn't respond. He told me he'd tried to get you help. That you fell out of the helicopter by accident. That was rich. Do you believe that? I asked. She was quiet. No, she said finally. Then she met my eyes, and, for once, there was no smugness. What happens now? You talk to Chloe Ramirez. You give her what you know. Or you go down with him. Her throat bobbed. And if I do cooperate? I won't come for you. Her voice broke. I thought we were just cleaning up paperwork. I didn't know it would go that far. You were sleeping with a man planning a murder. You don't get to cry now. She nodded once. Slowly. Then stood. I'll do it. I watched her walk away, her designer bag shaking on her shoulder. And for the first time I didn't feel hatred toward her. Just pity. She thought Eric loved her. She was just the next body he'd step over. And now, it was time. I emailed Eric from a secure account. No subject line. Just 3 words. We need to talk. He replied within minutes. Penthouse. Tonight. Alone. Exactly what I hoped for. Monica wasn't thrilled. This is reckless, she said. He could still try to hurt you. I nodded. Then let him try. His penthouse hadn't changed. Same gray marble floors. Same pretentious sculpture in the corner. Same scent, sandalwood and something colder. He stood in the living room, wearing a black sweater, barefoot. When I walked in, he froze. For a second, the mask cracked. Claire? I didn't say a word. Just pulled a thick envelope from my coat and dropped it on the table. His hands hovered over it like it might explode. He flipped through it, fast at first, then slower. His face drained of color. You're dead. No. I'm what's left of the woman you tried to kill. He didn't speak. Just stared at me like I was a ghost. Which, in a way, I was. This is blackmail, he said finally, voice cracking. No, I said. This is your life unraveling. He tried to recover. We can work something out. I have money. I can disappear. You already tried that. With my life. I didn't push you. You signed the forms. You forged my death. You collected the money. You paid off your mistress. You lied on national television. He said nothing. You don't have to admit it, Eric. The paper trail will speak for you. He sank into a chair. And for the first time, he looked small. I loved you, he whispered. No, I said. You loved control. Then I turned and walked out. He didn't follow. The article went live 3 days later. Front page. Veteran declared dead in helicopter accident returns with proof of fraud, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Byline, Chloe Ramirez. It spread like wildfire. Cable news. Twitter. Podcasts. Eric Callahan was arrested while trying to board a private jet out of O'Hare. Lacey testified. So did Monica. The DOJ filed formal charges. I stayed in the background. Declined interviews. Changed my number. Donated the rest of my life insurance to a nonprofit for female veterans. And when the noise faded, I bought a one-way ticket to Seattle. There's no neat ending to a story like mine. No last chapter that ties everything up. I'm not the woman I used to be. I'm not Claire Dawson. I'm not Claire Donovan. I'm just, me. Whatever that means now. I opened a quiet rehab clinic near the water, no press, no plaques. Just people trying to heal. Like I still am. Sometimes I walk by the shoreline at night, listening to the gulls, the wind. I touch the scar on my ribs. I remember falling. And then I remember getting up. Some truths don't need to be shouted. Some justice comes quietly. But when it comes, it stays. Eric's face when the cuffs clicked shut. That's the moment burned into me. Not the satisfaction. Not the victory. But the fear, his eyes darting like a caged animal, lips parted like he might beg, like he'd finally realized he wasn't the predator anymore. He was prey. They caught him at the tarmac, just as the wheels of his private jet started rolling. I watched the footage later, alone in my apartment in Seattle, clutching a chipped mug like it might steady my hands. He was yelling something, about setups, conspiracies, betrayal. But no one listened. For once, he was the one no one believed. Funny how fast power evaporates when truth walks into the room. And yet, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt hollow. Like I'd spent 3 years sprinting through fire only to arrive at a place that didn't quite feel like peace. Have you ever won something, and all you could do was sit there and wonder what it cost you? I didn't tell anyone I was watching. Not Monica. Not Chloe. Not even my new landlord, who knew me only as MS. Dawson, the quiet woman renting the little gray house near Pike Place Market. After the arrest, the headlines came fast. Callahan empire implodes. Millionaire mogul caught in murder fraud scandal. Podcasts exploded. Reddit went rabid. My inbox overflowed with interview requests, TV deals, publishers. I ignored them all. What could I say that would make sense to strangers? That the man who swore to love me tried to erase me? That I spent 3 years pretending to be someone else just to claw my way back to the truth? That sometimes, even after you survive, it still feels like you're drowning? People love a comeback story. They just don't know what it costs to make one. But life, it doesn't pause. One morning, I woke up and the sun looked gentler. The air didn't carry quite so much weight. I started walking to a little cafe down the block every morning. The barista remembered my name by the 3rd visit. I liked that. I began volunteering at a community clinic, small shifts at first. Paperwork, intake forms, helping elderly patients navigate confusing insurance jargon. And then one day, a young woman came in. She was shaking. Eyes darting. Bruises half covered by makeup. I recognized that fear. I sat beside her, handed her a tissue, and asked, "Do you want to talk?" She did. That night, I realized something. Maybe surviving wasn't just about reclaiming your life. Maybe it was about giving someone else the courage to reclaim theirs. A month later, I opened a women's center. Quiet. Unmarked. No press releases. No names on the building. Just a place where women could come and speak the unspeakable. We named it the Second Sunrise. Some days, it's filled with laughter, women learning computer skills, kids doing homework, someone burning toast in the break room. Other days, it's heavy. Tears. Silence. Stories that curdle the stomach and crush the soul. But it's real. And more than anything, it's safe. Sometimes survivors just need that, a place where they don't have to explain the nightmare. Just a chair. A quiet nod. A hand that doesn't flinch. I hadn't seen Monica in person since Eric's trial. But she showed up one rainy afternoon, holding 2 coffees and that half-smirk I missed. "I saw what you did here," she said. "It's good." "You're good." I shook my head. "I'm surviving." "That's different." She sat across from me, sipped her coffee, and studied me like she used to. "He got 35 years. No parole," she said. "You know that, right?" "I know." "He still says you set him up." I smiled, just slightly. "Let him." We sat in silence for a while. Rain tapping the windows. The smell of cinnamon from the kitchen. Then she asked, "Do you miss her? The version of you that existed before?" I thought about that for a long time. "I think she died in that forest," I said. "But what came back? Maybe she's something stronger." "Some wounds don't bleed. They ache. Quietly. Forever." There are still nights I bolt upright in bed, sure I hear helicopter blades or gunfire. I still flinch at the smell of burning fuel. I keep a go bag by the door, just in case. But I also keep fresh flowers on the table. I text Chloe Ramirez book recommendations. I send postcards to veterans still overseas. I started gardening, though I'm terrible at it. Little things. Soft things. They matter, too. Because when you faced death and lived, you learn to cradle the gentle moments like gold. One fall evening, I sat with a group of women at the center. We were sharing stories, not just of trauma, but of survival. A young mother said, "I stayed too long. I thought love was supposed to hurt." Another whispered, "He said no one would believe me." I almost believed him. And then they turned to me. "What about you, Claire?" one asked. "What finally made you fight back?" I looked at them. At the flicker of hope in their eyes. At the quiet courage blooming from pain. And I said, "Because someone tried to erase me." And I realized, if I let them, they win twice. That night, I walked along the harbor. The wind was sharp, the sky the color of bruised plum. Boats swayed in their slips. Somewhere, a saxophone was playing faintly from a window. I felt something shift inside me. Not closure. Not peace. But maybe, release. I turned my phone back on for the first time in weeks. Dozens of messages. Some from strangers. Others from old friends who thought I was dead. One was from my mother's cousin in Savannah, who hadn't heard from me in 4 years. I answered each one. It was time. Time to stop running. Time to stop hiding. Time to let the world see me, scars and all. If you're still with me, thank you. I know this hasn't been a light story. But maybe it's one you needed to hear. Or maybe it reminded you that survival isn't a straight line. It loops. It bruises. It changes you. But you can come back from the edge. Even if the world says you're gone. Have you ever had to rebuild yourself from the ashes of betrayal? What did it take for you to finally say, enough? I'd love to hear your story. Because sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is speak. And if you know someone stuck in the shadows, someone who forgot what it feels like to be seen, maybe share this story with them. We all deserve a second sunrise. Always. Claire.